Hey Shane, John Mueller here with Get on the Track. Just doing the analysis on your lap at COTA from last weekend's event with Chin. It was June 9th. This is your fastest lap from Sunday. It looked like your fastest lap for the weekend as well. So we'll take a look and see what we can find and see if there's some way to gain some time here. So fastest lap here was a 2:26. So we'll go ahead and dive into turn one and let it play. All right. So coming into turn one, the one thing I'm noticing, I think your turn in here is a little early. The field of view here with the camera is a little bit difficult, so I'm not really quite sure. But basically, I think your turn in is a little bit early, which is causing you to be a little bit early on that apex. And that kind of creates a compounding situation where you can't go to the throttle hard enough coming down the hill into turn two. So I might advise just making sure you come over that crest and then turn that car in. Just to call out some features, as we go through here, I'll call out a couple details. When you go through turn one, on the second half of it, there's actually a change in elevation where the track rises. And in that zone, that gives you some good grip. It gives you actually a little bit better ability to turn that car. And then as that falls off, you want to get that steering wheel straight. But overall, other than I think being a little bit early on the turn in here, it looks pretty good going through turn one. Coming through, so I would backside that apex just a little bit more. So just want to be a little bit further around that apex and really backside that, as opposed to you're still coming into it relatively shallow if we look right here. So just get that car rotated a little bit more, a little bit earlier, and then that'll give you better drive coming out of turn one. Leading into turn two, it looks pretty good. The one thing I'm noticing is it seems like you may be a little bit timid on the throttle here. I feel like coming through turn two, based on what I see you pull for G's going through the carousel, I think you can carry some more speed here. So I'm taking a look at the lateral acceleration here. So it ramps up nicely, but I see about 0.2 G's at the high point. Sorry, 1.2 G's. I should correct that. 1.2 G's mid corner coming through here. And honestly, you're pulling the same, if not higher G's as you go through the carousel, and you're not getting as much compression in the carousel, which leads me to believe you can carry more speed and carry a little bit higher G's through there. So try to find a little bit more confidence on that throttle, come through here with a little bit more speed. The line looks good, no complaints here. Because of the speed of your car, you're having to come all the way out there. You come back, get under that bridge. I might actually suggest coming out a little further on the bridge. Again, I wasn't in the car, and the camera might skew things a little bit, but it seems like you may need to come out here a little bit further, and I'll elaborate on that as we go into turn three. So coming into turn three, what I'm really seeing here is you're releasing from the corner a little bit too early. And it's this is I equate this section to golf, where you need to set up that first shot to get yourself in a position to get to the hole. It's the same thing here. Our turn in and our setup at turn three impacts our entire section going, or segment going to turn six. So what I'm seeing here is your release from turn three is early. I want to see you go all the way out to this triangle right here, and I can go ahead and just highlight that here, but I want to see you bring the car all the way out here before we actually go and turn the car in, and you'll see what happens and how that impacts you going to turn four. So at turn three, we're rolling in, and right there we see we're releasing, and there's still, it's a little bit blurred there for some reason, but as we release that, come on, sorry, technical difficulties. So right there, we're releasing well before the end of that white line, and that's kind of common in a couple areas for you. But here, the reason I'm saying that is watch what happens when you come into turn four. Going into turn 4, I like that you're using a fair amount of the green in here. So basically split that curbing. Right tires are on the green, left tires on the black. But watch how much turning you have to get done before in order to get to 5. So we see a fair amount of steering angle here all the way through, and you're actually late going into 5. So what I'd prefer to see is I'd rather see you hang on to 3 a little bit longer. And it's actually affecting your speed through here. With the sound on, you can kind of hear you're coasting a little bit more through here than I like to see. What I'd prefer to see is if we back up here a little bit, go ahead and see if I can get this to cooperate with me. If we back up a little bit here, what we really want to do is we want to see you come out a little bit further, and I may not get this right because of the perspective, but yeah, that's a little bit weak. But we need to see a straighter line going between turn 4 and turn 5. And that's affecting your speed through the S's. And you can really gain a lot of speed on guys up to turn 6 here. So slightly later turn in, starting from turn 3, and that's going to impact this whole section through here. And what we'll see as a consequence is you'll be applying more power through here, and you'll be on that backside through here. You're trying to get the right line through here, and you're doing a good job of it. You're split here, but if you were a little bit later on your entry to 3, or on the turn back from 3 on that track out, coming around that triangle, this would impact is it would place the car over here more versus looking at this red segment here, and that would allow you to apply some power and carry more speed. I'm willing to bet you can get 2 to 3, maybe more out of this miles per hour. So definitely focus on that. Change that setup into 3, and then it's going to impact you all the way through here. That said, what's going to happen when you come into 6 carrying more speed? If you're doing 85, 86 miles an hour coming into here, what we're going to have to see from you, and we do see it here, we see it here even at this point, there's some brake drag right here. You can see you're going to the brake just a little bit here, which is definitely, I encourage that, because you're going to need to get that car to rotate going through 6 and get a little bit of weight on the nose so that it doesn't wash out. So everything you're doing here is correct. Just understand that if you do get a better line into 3, you're going to have to bleed a bit more speed coming through here. I would suggest using longer brake duration as opposed to higher brake pressure. That way you're not going to be, it won't get you too much rotation out of that car. So just get on those brakes at about the same pressure, which is really good right here, for just a little bit longer duration. So we'll watch you come around here, set up for turn 6. Pretty happy with this. You're splitting the line there. I like that. Good, good, good. Now, coming into 7, what I'm seeing is I want your hands to be a little bit slower on the input here. It's a little bit, if you watch here, I'll back it up slightly, and I'm going to show you coming in here on the video. What I see is I see a quick motion in those hands. I don't know if you caught that, but it was a relatively sharp input here. And honestly, I think this contributed to the instability here, where you're having to do a correction right here. So I think right there's a lot of correcting going on. And also the other thing that I want you to think about as you come through 7 is get more comfortable with letting the car track out here. I like your line leading into 8. Everything is good there. But what happens here, again, calling out features of the track, similar to turn 1, leading into turn 8, there is elevation that happens, which means you don't have as much grip through here as you do here. So the front end, the car, I actually typically let the car run a little bit wide early on after the apex from turn 7, and then it'll grip up as I start coming up that hill. The front end will gain more traction. So I think you're artificially holding the car in, or unnecessarily holding the car in on the past the apex of turn 7. And that's causing you a little bit of a disturbance here, a little bit of a need to do that correction. So again, it may just be that it was this lap, but coming in here, what I would suggest is be smoother on that initial input, and then just a little bit slower hands. And the other thing, I can hear it in the video a little bit, squeeze that throttle down a little bit more. Unfortunately, we don't have a throttle position sensor trace here, but it seemed like you were a little bit rough on the throttle too. And just this is just a nice smooth squeeze. And again, getting comfortable with letting that car come out a little bit further to that right side, and then allowing it to grip up right through here. So lead into turn 8. Everything looks good on the entry to turn 8. Similar to what's happening at turn 3, you're releasing from turn 8 a little bit early, and I'll show you that as we lead up here. So you're tight, looking good, and then again, boom, you start fading away from that white triangle right here. And again, I'm fairly confident this isn't just a result of, I'm fairly confident this isn't just the camera angle. It looks like you're releasing there a little bit early. And I get the tendency to want to straight line this corner, but that's forcing you to go on the throttle a little bit slower and a little bit lighter than you could coming up through turn 9. So I want to see a slight exaggeration of turn 8 here, where you hold on to that just a little bit longer, and coming out here, that's going to give you that straighter shot going up and over turn 9. So that's my suggestion for turn 8, and then that's gonna affect you through turn 9, so you'll be able to get some more throttle through there. So and hopefully that'll kind of balance out a little bit of the unbalanced instability that you're seeing as you come over there. So then just smooth application of that throttle. Turn 10, everything looks good here. The one thing I want to call out and I want to make sure that you're conscious of that. You are short shifting as you come over 10 right there, boom. I'm not sure if you're doing that to keep the car stable. I just want to make sure that you're aware that that's what you're doing. So you could be giving up a little bit of drive, but it also could be you're just focused on keeping the car stable through there. So just make note of it. And you've probably tried different variations. Again, haven't driven the car, so I'm not sure how it feels there, but you may be giving up a little bit of acceleration down the straightaway. Coming into 11, let's take a look. So I want to see possibly more brake pressure early. So I'm going to see, so there is an elevation change that happens here, but if you take a look at your ramp up with your brake pressure, it's a little bit weak here, right? So there's a little bit of questioning here, and I don't know what was happening. So I can't really get a feel for that, but I would suspect that carrying a little bit harder brake pressure early on would help you trail brake that car a little bit smoother as you go into as you initiate that turn in for turn 11. So that would just be my suggestion here is carry probably more brake pressure early, and then a little bit of trail braking to help that car turn in as you go into 11. On that note, one thing I did notice is it seems like your turn in is a little bit early at turn 11. So if you watch as you're coming in here, I'm going to see you start to pull away from the curving here. It's starting already right here. Let's see if I can get it smoother. I typically turn in a little bit later. I turn in by this final square here as opposed to right here. So I get out final white square. I'm seeing you already start to turn the car in, and you can actually see that happening with your wheel in the video right here, right? So you're turning in probably 10 feet earlier than I would. Bear in mind, right, especially with a car like yours that has a lot of power, you're trying to maximize your speed down that back straightaway. So a later turn in, a later apex is going to allow you to go to that throttle harder. So turn in seems early, and stay closer to that track edge on the right side as you come down to that turn in point. And then I wouldn't mind seeing heavier brake pressure and maybe a little bit slower release of that brake pressure. That's going to help get that car rotated and get you down to the apex. I think you missed the apex by, a fair amount here. It looks like you missed that apex by a fair amount. So carrying that the trail braking a little bit longer and dragging off that brake a little bit smoother is going to help you with getting out of that corner faster. The other thing here, make sure you're doing a smooth throttle application. So you're carrying a lot of steering input right now, and my guess is you're starting to try to whack that throttle open. Again, without a sensor, I can't tell, or without the actual field, the data field, I can't tell. But I think you're whacking that throttle open a little bit too early and a little bit too hard, and that leads to this correction and spin on exit. So again, a later apex is going to allow you to start applying that throttle probably at the same rate that you're doing now, but without having that washout. So just be conscious. A very common mistake with kind of intermediate to advanced drivers is actually going to the throttle too quickly, too abruptly, and causing that oversteer on exit. So that's costing you time for sure. I do it as well, so it's just a common sin for guys at our level. All right, applying that throttle hard, coming through turn 11 and coming into 12. Overall, turn 12 looks pretty good. Your brake application looks pretty good. Hard on those brakes coming in here. I mean, honestly, you may be able to brake a little bit earlier here, or I'm sorry, a little bit later here. You may be braking a little bit early here, but it's all, that's you're not going to make up a ton of time with waiting to the last second to brake, but there may be a little bit of time in there that you can make up. Overall, pretty good here. The only thing, damn it, apologize for that. At least I got it close to the right spot. The one thing here is I do see you missed the apex here. So one thing to bear in mind is trailing that braking a little bit further, right? Like it's right here. I consider this to be a relatively abrupt release of that brake pressure. If you hold on and trail it a little bit longer, you're going to be able to get that car to rotate and get it to drive down to that, get it down to that apex. And that's going to buy you just a couple more feet in order to be able to carry more speed. So again, pretty good coming through here. Turn 13, there's a couple things going on in my mind. Let me reset this so that we can get back to it. Turn 13, I'd suggest a slightly later apex here. So we really want to be at the backside of the banana here, or the sausage, whatever your choice is. Want to be, I think, a little bit further around there. And then it's actually pretty good. I don't have a lot of critique here. I don't think you're losing a lot of time here. The one thing that does look, or that I do question a little bit, is the amount of hand input here. So if you take a look, you're really trying to get this car to turn here, and there it comes back. So you're getting some understeer on that. And then through here, it seems like your inputs are, pretty darn abrupt. So I want to see smoother hand inputs coming through here, smoother throttle application. When you're getting those slides like that and you're having to do those corrections, it's costing you time. So just something to think about. Maybe a little bit later apex will allow you to apply that throttle a little bit earlier, or at the same point, and not have the same level of drama. But the big thing is smooth inputs coming through turn 13. On that power heading into 15, honestly, everything looks pretty good through 15. Didn't really have too much as far as commentary here. Coming to the carousel looks pretty good too. You may be being a little bit timid coming through here on throttle. I'm good with your overall line. You're staying relatively tight. You may actually try getting a little bit further inside here. I've noticed that, and I've also talked to some other guys. I think there's a little bit more grip getting a little bit tighter in, getting a little bit closer to those rumble strips. So it actually allows you to carry a shorter line while still maintaining the same amount of speed, and really coming through here well. So I mean, I would just give it a shot, see if you see any differential, see if you can carry any more speed or the same speed by carrying that tighter line. That also sets you up a little bit better for turn 19 rather than having to come all the way out here. So play with it, see what happens. But big point here is I'm going to take a look at turn 19. I do believe this is costing you a fair amount of time here. The inputs, your your inputs and your timing are good here, but the biggest thing that I'm seeing is you aren't carrying as much speed as you could. So you're turning in at the white line. That's kind of the common agreed upon point to turn in. You're splitting the sausage as we come across here, looking awesome. Coming out here, and then a little bit of correction as you come out and head out onto the head out onto the rumble strips on the outside. So I think part of what's happening here is I think we need to work on your vision so that you have a little bit more confidence and can just be a little bit smoother. So you're getting, I think part of it is, and I can't really tell here, but it kind of looks like your vision's not as far ahead as I'd like it to be. What I suggest people do is take a look at the base of the gantry that's around the corner here. It seems really weird because you can't even see it here, but the base of the gantry is really what you're aiming for, and that gives you a target and doesn't have the wall blocking your view. So I'll call it out in a second here. As you come around, that's the base of the gantry right here. So what I look at is, and when I say the base, what I'm looking for is I'm literally looking for this intersection where the thing sits in the ground. And that's a great place to focus on as you get through this corner and track out. It gives you a place further ahead, allows you to really look ahead, get that vision ahead, and have more confidence in where you're going. So coming back a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and show you as we come through here, what I'm seeing is pay attention to your lateral G's here. Going through the carousel, you're seeing, and actually I'll go ahead and drag it back through here. Going through the carousel, you're seeing 1.2, 1.3. I think even at a certain point, you peak out at 1.30. Meanwhile, coming through turn 19, you're down in the one, you're down around 1G through almost the entire turn. So I do have smoothing on for this. So but you've got your turn in here. And then as you come through, you're building up to 0.85. There's 1.1, but then it suddenly drops again, right? To me, what that's telling me is you're carrying a lot less speed than you can through that corner. So get that vision up, and that might be helpful for you in order to be able to really carry that vision, carry that speed through the corner. If you've got any questions about that, let me know. The one other thing that I would suggest as well is it seems like you're going to the throttle relatively late through here. And that's another thing that can actually help you carry speed, is going to the throttle earlier is going to help plant that car and allow it to drive down. I don't have, don't have the throttle sensor, but from the sounds of it, if you see your revs are dropping, I'm watching the tach right there, and we're still kind of coasting here. I want to see you on that throttle, actually probably about here. You're going to get that braking done, and I actually prefer to see people going to the throttle before the apex of 19. That settles that car, stabilizes it, and allows it to start putting that power down earlier, and you're going to carry more speed through that corner. So again, I think 19 is where you're really giving up a lot of gains and a lot of time. 20 looks good. One thing I'm trying to look here. I had the feeling that you might be going to the throttle a bit too fast here. You might want to slow down that throttle input just a little bit. Again, it's a common mistake for people that are trying to go fast, is they actually get a little bit too greedy on the throttle and have to back out of it. Again, I'd love to get a throttle position sensor here, but to see, I think you may be correcting for a slide there. Overall, really good lap. I hope that this is a helpful video for you. I do think turn 19 is where you're giving up a fair amount of time. That it going into the S's at turn 3. I suspect that you can gain a second or two by improving your line and kind of your inputs through there. So if you got any questions, please let me know. Thanks for the opportunity to do this, and I hope to see you out there soon.